Okay, hi. Hi, everyone. My name is Adrian. I'm 31 years old. And about 6 months ago, I moved to London. And I left everything that I knew in Idaho behind to start building my new life here. Wait, that's actually kind of crazy to think about. I have already posted a couple videos to YouTube, which I recorded all that stuff back in August. I just wanted to sit down and kind of like introduce a little bit of who I am and give you guys like some context. I've always wanted to do YouTube and like I've always wanted to document my stuff. Like I remember getting and asking, I asked for a little red camera so that I could shoot myself and my friends, and like I did like a little mini vlogs, and it was so silly of a time, but that has always been what I've wanted to do. Even before you could really make money and like understand, like back in 2011, 2013, like that's really when I was like, I just want to share things and like inspire people. And I have attempted to do this a couple of times. I'm scared to admit, but now that I'm in London and I left everything, I was like, why the hell not? Like, why not start putting myself online? Because I don't have anything to lose and I'm crazy. No, I'm just kidding. But let's dive into, I guess, like a little bit about me and why and how I left Idaho. So I graduated high school, always wanted to be in the arts, and I have always, like, ever since I was like 10 or 11, I remember always wanting to go into fashion. And watching Project Runway, I was like, oh, this is my ish. Like, I'm going to do that. I don't know how the hell I was going to do that, but I was going to do that. So after graduating high school, I applied to go to FITA, which a boy got accepted and then quickly realized that I did not qualify for financial aid. So pivoted, and then that's when like my life in my I call it my church era, but I mean I always grew up religious, so I went back to those roots, and I just basically lived my whole life going to this big mega church in Idaho, which I don't regret. I just think that there's a lot, like I wouldn't be the person that I am today with all that. Anyways, so after graduating high school and then realizing that I wasn't gonna go to FIT, I had to figure out what the hell I was gonna do. So I started working at like different retailers and trying to get my foot into the door of like, okay, maybe I can work my way through corporate. Yeah, and then after a couple years of doing that, I realized that if I needed to make some stuff happen, I like really wanted to go to school, but I think it was 25. That's when I would qualify for my own financial aid. So reapplied, and then I got accepted. I just remember applying to my local state school, which was Boise State. And I just wanted to get a fine art degree. And at the time I was working at Coach, I figured out that I wanted to be a creative director for a fashion brand. And I wanted to also still have my own clothing stuff, but like I just loved this whole idea of like immersing people into different environments and just making people feel different emotions when they were in an area of something that I could produce. I shifted kind of my goals for school, so added in another degree, which I got a business degree. So yeah, I got my dual degree, and that ended up leading me to study abroad in Italy. So at that time is basically when I left the church and I moved to Italy for 6 months. And my whole life really changed when I left for Italy. And I really became a different version of who I wanted to be. And yeah, I just really fell in love with myself, with life. Actually, this is a lie. I really fell in love with life. And I really fell in love with this idea of you can completely change your life and live a whole different life than what you've been in a whole, like in Europe, in this whole country where like nobody knows who you are. There's all these different languages, these different cultures, foods, and it felt like everything that I was supposed to be doing happened at the right time. And in Idaho, I would tell people like, I'm moving, I'm leaving, like I'm not going to be here forever. Like Idaho's cute, but I just cannot, like it's just too small for me. And I know I need to be in a city. I get back from Italy and I have my first relationship, which is already like a different piece of like dating, especially in your older 20s, and coming out and figuring out who I really was, like all these different layers to who I am. And then coming back to Idaho and realizing I had 1 year left of school was really crazy because I felt like I had all of these. What did I feel like? I just felt like so stuck in a sense. I think it's funny kind of going back because at this time I didn't even realize that I was already unpeeling and like starting different layers of like discovering and building my life that I've always wanted. Not me getting emotional because I remember just like manifesting and like praying and like realizing that like I didn't have to just fit into this box of like, okay, you're going to be in Idaho and you're going to just go to school and then you're going to do XYZ, then you're going to get married and then have kids, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that I never felt like that was me in that box being in Idaho, and I need to get out. And I knew that I either A, had to find a job that would relocate me, or B, it would be to find a school and to go to a different program and really insert myself. So in December, I graduated with my dual degree. And then going into January of 2025, I realized like that's when I really had to make money moves. So I sat down, wrote down all my desires and like my dreams for the year. And you guys, everything that I wrote, like spoiler alert, everything that I wrote literally came true. And then at that time, I realized that that's when I could apply for graduate schools. So I started applying and I applied to different schools in Paris. And then I also applied for 2 unis here in London. And plot twist, I got accepted into all of the ones that I applied for. So yeah, that was kind of slay. I really didn't see that coming because I felt such imposter syndrome. I decided, like, I kind of compared everything and I realized that like moving to London had the best longevity for me. And this university that I'm in now is the 2nd ranked art school in the world. I was like, okay, wait, this could really set me in a trajectory of where I want to go. So I signed my little thing that said I want to go to the school, and yeah, thus begin this next wave of me moving. And then I realized that I was completely leaving everything in Idaho to be in a place completely alone when I was 30. Yeah, I moved here. I mean, you guys seen the vlogs of me saying goodbye and packing up my life and my last day at work. And I worked at Target for 4 years. So like I had my best friends there, and saying bye to some of like my soulmates and friends. Like that was crazy, saying bye to my family because we all knew that I was supposed to leave. And like, we all knew that this was going to happen eventually. So like this idea, I guess, of like the American dream that I guess our parents once knew, obviously it just doesn't exist anymore. Waking up every single day, working towards a career and like having, you know, X amount of money and being able to be more than financially stable and like build out your dreams. It felt like so distant because, you know, we're so in debt from student loans, from credit cards, and just even surviving to get groceries. Coming up with this new American dream, especially what I've been hearing now on social media, it's like this last couple years, and especially this last year, I guess the rates to move out of America for U.S. citizens has been higher than ever, which is, I'm not surprised. And also I'm in that statistic of leaving and moving away. But moving here and like starting my dreams here brings me to you right here. Being in YouTube and documenting my life, and these last 6 months, it's been really hard, honestly. And I already knew that coming in, but sitting here and realizing that this city is crazy, it's fun, but it is really hard to like not only leave everything that I knew, but also step into this person that I know that I want to be, and also keep staying disciplined in, you know, eating right, taking care of myself, but also being social and like understanding like networking and being creative and pushing myself in ways that I never thought that I could. And also like is just like healing myself from how in this mindset of like we have to be producing and productivity mindset, all this stuff that's like, honestly, it's so heavysome. And like you have these pressures here in London, but the way that I've gone from working 40, 50 hour weeks on top of school and trying to maintain relationships and maintain my relationships with my family, like it's just to coming here and having nobody, and then just being a full-time master's student, like that is hard, but it's just such a different life that like I sit in my bed some days and I'm like, you haven't done anything besides like work out and like get groceries and get a coffee, like, but I've been healing my mind of being like, it's okay to just chill. And like the way of living here and in Europe is just so different, and I feel so lucky and blessed that this is the part of my life that I'm in. I also want to preface that me making this YouTube channel, like, yes, I wanted to do this for so long of my life, but also just like making videos and like creating stuff has just been so fun. And like, I genuinely just want, like, the reason why I started, I'm not gonna cry because like, no, we're gonna hold it in for a second. Like the reason that I started documenting my life is because I would have just died knowing that there was another brown queer boy out there who, you know, has come through a very heavily religious background, but moved to a big city. And like, this is a lot of queer people's stories, but you don't see it through a viable lens. Like, it's very mediatized, or you hear about it, or you go to those cities and like you kind of talk to people, but I never really saw this documented, and I never saw that when I was growing up. Like, the thing that I saw was, you know, people coming out, but what is so mainstream media right now, and it's slowly changing, but it is the white gay male and like how they have come out and like left. And yes, you know, we all have different stories, and some have been ostracized, and some don't have families, and you know, that's their story, and I don't want to take away from that. But to see somebody like me out here and just being genuine and just trying to live life, like, I would have died seeing that. And like, that's all I want, is I want to be able to find people who want to change their life and make things of themselves. And I just want to be like a little corner on the internet of like happiness and like excitement, but like also real. Like, this has been the best 6 months of my life, but this has also been probably the hardest 6 months of my life, because I'm torn away from all my friends, all my family, everything that I know to be right, just to pursue my dream. And it feels kind of selfish, but it also feels exactly what it's supposed to be. And I'm just going to be real. I'm going to be authentic. I'm just going to be me. Like, I'm going to try to show the things that make me feel uncomfortable, because I think it's where we are at in the internet. Looking forward to like what is to come and like what I want to document, and like figuring out the next portion of my life, because I feel a lot of anxiety about like what the fuck I'm doing this next year. I'm gonna break it down to y'all. So I have my visa until March of 2027. So almost 1 year from now is when I have to fully decide, am I gonna stay in London? Am I gonna stay in the UK? So right now I'm gonna be documenting basically this next year of my life and me starting my clothing brand, and document, you know, what life is actually like in university here in London for an American citizen. Vlogs of just every day going to work out. Like, I have a dream body that I'm driving towards. And something that I also didn't mention is that in the last like 3 years, I've lost over 80 pounds. And then what it's also like trying to figure out, okay, am I gonna stay? And if I'm not, like, where the fuck am I gonna go? And like, what am I gonna do? So that's my journey. At the end of the day, I want to stay true to Adrian, and I just am sharing this with you guys. And like, I just hope that you can, you know, hang out with me and like do this life with me and cheer me on, and I can cheer you on. Like, there's just so much space for us to all grow together. And yeah, that's like, I guess my personal brand is personal growth, loving people the best that I can, loving myself the best that I can, and like realizing that like the American dream is not my dream. And, you know, I don't have to have everything figured out, but we're going for it. So I'm going to stop recording because I got to go meet my man, and we're going to go get coffee. And you'll probably see that in the vlog soon or something. So that's kind of it, babes. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, like, I know that there's literally 30 of us, but share this with your peeps. I want more friends. I'm going to go now. Bye.